And first thing up is to review and approve the minutes from the July 20 meeting. Any comments on those minutes?
I read them this earlier today. They look fine to me.
I just want to compliment the minute taker because they're very complete and refresh, serve as a good refresher. So could I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
Okay. Minutes approved. Greg, you're up with the well levels.
okay. Well, some surprising things, I think, this month. If we could roll up to that first picture, which has I'll go through the high points and then close it. The state DEC, which is which shows okay. With the state DEC, they left us, we're in their warning level. It's the highest level they have before they declare an emergency. And they made no change, basically the entire state in their outlook, except for Long Island, is the only place. Then the next picture would be good. The DEWS, the drought early warning system, they did reduce the drought intensity level in some parts of the island, but not for us. We stay as a severe drought, as does the South Fork. And then the central part of Long Island is either a moderate drought or
Normally drought, just a little bit.
it's a really unusual. This map, this is the picture. This is the state. You can see, that's been that way for a bit. The map below it is the drought early warning system. You can see severe drought for us and the South Fork, and then moderate drought for most of the center part of Long Island, except for abnormally dry a little bit on the North Shore. And then farther over, there's a lot more. The summary on what they've got, what the DEWS has got, I guess, is that they are seeing a relax, that the drought condition is more of a possibility of it, stopping than they thought before. The second map then is the chart of the ROAR values. Something very, it doesn't happen very frequently. We had the three of the wells in the middle of summer actually were either equal to last reading or like 2/200ths above. The only well that went down was the Goat Hill, and that dropped by 0.21 feet, which is not a huge amount for what typically can happen in the summer here. The reasons for this, I'm sure I thought of a couple. It could be because of the timing of the meetings here. We had a relatively short time. It's like 16 days between last month and this month. There was the July rainfall, which maybe has pushed its way down. It could be, and this would be like, say hallelujah, would be that the residential use of water has lessened, and that the effort that we've made to communicate the drought circumstances has not fallen on deaf ears. I have my hearing aids in, so I heard it. Then the next map is the ranking chart. And, we have the last 8 readings have been below the 25th percentile. So And it's just bouncing back and forth here. We had that a couple times in the past, but I don't recall seeing something where it's bound up like that. Again, and the overall is basically the same for the last three readings, really. And then the last item would be the median chart. Similar to what happened last time, the shallower wells have reacted quickly to the rainfall. The deeper wells have not. They didn't lose anything. I guess that's a bright side, but that's all I got on that. The Goat was the only well that actually dropped, the Goat Hill, and that and it was not an extremely large number. If you look at that chart, look at the chart. They last week, I think we were down at like 7. The average is a little higher, 13, I think now. And so you could say it might be that it's slightly improving. But again, we have that short reading time, so I wouldn't put a whole lot of thinking into it at this point. I wouldn't make any major changes. I think that, what we ought to be thinking is that the next reading will be the third week of September. And at that point, we'll have a good, clear view of what's going on, I think.
That'll be after we meet.
Say again?
After we meet.
Next reading will be
Next
after.
reading is the third week in September.
And we will have met before that.
No, I don't think so. I think
You have enough time to get it in?
I think our reading is, our meeting is, I think say again?
21st, so after.
21st.
Close.
And I neglect, and I forgot to ask her about taking the time, so I'll check that out with her. I was supposed to get some information.
One questions, yeah. At some point, we're going to reach an equilibrium, or we could reach an equilibrium of the water table, the Ivan-Herzberg, nice little parabola that goes down, right? Mm-hmm. It's not going to deflate completely like a balloon. At some point, it's just going to, the freshwater balance, it will balance by the salt water underneath. And at that point, nothing's going to drop or rise. It'll just become an equilibrium, theoretically.
If we were 0 over mean sea level?
No, I don't think it'll reach 0. That's what my point is. It's going to reach a water table of, say, 1 foot and 40 feet, and it's just going to stay there because it's not going to just completely wash out, because that's just the nature of the equilibrium of the freshwater saltwater balance.
That could be true.
What do you think? Yeah.
Many years ago, this is probably 10 years ago, it was a fellow says, "Oh yeah, I'm getting salt water." He was out on Big Ram. He says, "I'm getting salt water in my well." And we went out there and he says, "This well is giving me salt water." And whoever I was with at that point says, "Well, what's that well held there?" "Oh, that's my irrigation well." So
Okay, yeah, right.
his thought is that, well, that's that one delivers fresh water, and they'll both. So it was they were both in.
But my point was that say Goat Hill is going to stay at. Should have done this before. 4 feet, and it'll just stay at 4 feet. It's not going to go down to 0. It's not going to go down to sea level.
So there's no drain at the bottom,
Right.
is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're going to have a lump of fresh water just sitting there on top of the salt water, and it's going to have a slight cone above sea level, which is the balance
Right.
against the.
So, but your head here, you've got a point.
Yeah. My point is not going to go to 0. So we might be seeing some of
getting
these
this
wells
low, it doesn't go low.
approaching equilibrium with the 40-to-1 ratio.
But we will, that assumes no ongoing inputs. And so there's going to be rainfall and,
Well, in the summer, you're not going to get much input.
correct.
So that's,
In the sun, right.
I'm just trying to get my
Yep.
head wrapped around
Yep.
these numbers and saying, okay, the wells aren't dropping precipitously, and we don't expect them as they approach equilibrium with the
But
freshwater
what
salt.
we are seeing, and it could be spurious, so because of the time
yeah,
thing.
sure.
But what we are seeing is the sense that there, at least in the shallower wells, rainfall is reaching the water
Yeah, I
table.
know. Yeah.
Right, there is some recharge that occurs even during evapotranspiration.
Yeah.
Obviously, much better when there's no evapotranspiration going on, but just an interesting, observation that not all of the water gets consumed by the grass and trees and
We don't know,
everything.
we don't know what's on top of the wells or the
Right.
aquifers.
And again,
So it would be.
it'll take a long time to make any kind of conclusion like that because the noise in the data.
Yeah.
But it's interesting,
Yeah,
suggestive that we are seeing some rise. It's interesting in August.
Yeah, I haven't really looked for research papers on saying what is a steady state saltwater, freshwater glob look like.
So should we go to the rainfall?
Yeah,
I said before.
what do you think, Joe?
Before everybody came, I said,
I think you're right, Dave. It's always seeking equilibrium.
Yeah, and just stay there.
And the bottom in the center is generally not confined by a saltwater interface. It's a hard
Yeah, with the clay layer.
clay layer. So that interaction is not happening where we're depressing salt water.
Sea levels apply to the shallower wells. The fact that we're seeing some rise in the big four.
We're not seeing that. We're seeing,
No, I mean, the risk that salt water coming up in the middle of the island is not really the case. It's really that the freshwater elevation here above sea level is the pressure outward. So the equilibrium is really like the periphery of the boundary that we're.
and as Greg has repeated often, the shallow wells have tidal influences. that
correct.
aren't there at the big four. So we can't separate the effects, basically.
Right. But we do see
Until we get I guess
insignificant-
time readings would be interesting.
We do see insignificant rise in the deep big four. So it's like some of them, 0.02.
Yeah. All right, listen, rainfall. So July, we had a decent rain. We're not up to average. We're still down around 10% below the prior 5-year average. And I just plotted some of the recent rainfall that we got here. As you can see, the darker areas are the heavier rains. Notice that there's no dark area around Shelter Island. So everybody else is getting rainfall and we're not. Yeah.
Right. And even in July, what they were seeing was damaging flooding rainfalls in Connecticut and in
Northern Jersey got pounded, yeah. But we're not getting.
Yeah.
So this is the 48. This one is the 24-hour. This is the 48-hour of the last big. And I'm just hoping for a 3-inch rain so we can see what impact it would have on Goat Hill. Because what I'm trying to do here, and I circled the minimal recharge and maximum recharge. I'm really trying to put a number on the Goat Hill. Did I do that wrong? Yeah, because this is what I've done. I've looked at the comparison upon Goat Hill because I can get daily readings.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the ratio of the amount of rain in terms of inches and the rise in Goat Hill after significant rainfall events like 1 inch rain. And you can see that there is a seasonal response. In other words, outside the summertime, you get a positive increase in Goat Hill. In the summertime, right in the middle, that's July and August, you get nothing or even negative because you're still getting outflow in Goat Hill. this is over a few years. This isn't just this year.
It's an average of the.
It's looking at just, I looked at days when we got 1 inch rain or more, and looked at the change in Goat Hill going forward over a 3 or 4 day result to see what the impact was on Goat Hill. And I'm not picking up the goat, I just get, that's just the only one with real-time information. So that's the one that's really nice to look at. And there's a seasonal response. This line is not a curve fit, it's just a depiction of where the kind of the center of the data points is. And of course, the left-hand thing is distorted by those two big high numbers. But what it's telling us, is it's reinforcing that summer doesn't have much recharge. And, the off-season does, yeah. Yeah, Mike.
My question at that is, Goat Hill, I'm not sure exactly where the test well is in relation to both the Heights and the West Bank Water District's wells. But Goat Hill probably has more withdrawal from that area than any of these other wells, because you have that pumping for both water systems.
Right.
So the fact that it's not gaining, but it's sort of maintaining after a rainfall is sort of what I'd expect with the amount of withdrawal you get in the summer from that area. So just, that's one thing to just consider when you look at this.
It would be great if we could instrument another well
Yeah.
outside Goat Hill, so that we wouldn't have that effect. But we got what we got. Anyway, that's
But even
that's
on
my-
a, you know,
that's my
you're
recharge.
moving 3-day average, you're seeing there are periods in July where you're looking at uptick. So, yeah,
I'm not.
well, it's in the red box, the box that you highlighted in red on this graph.
Oh, on the next,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, and it's just that, you know, things are responsive.
But look at the scale, Peter. I mean,
Yeah, no, I agree,
Yeah.
it's significant,
Little.
very little, and also,
My speech is that summer, we're not going to get recharged. We're not going
in general,
to get out of
Very difficult.
issue.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
That's all that says, in case there are any doubters.
Outside of like, southern Texas,
Yeah, well, there was one.
18 inches in 24 hours, whatever.
There was an event where we got like 4 inches, and that showed in the even in the monthly
Yeah.
data that you have.
Just think, back, what was it, about 2006, I guess it was, that we had that, when the center of the island was underwater.
You mean 2016,
2016?
not 2026.
Yeah, no what?
But, I mean, to me, what it suggests is we need to be prepared for the fact that, I mean, all of the various slides you're putting together suggests that we need to be prepared for when the rain comes, it may come in overwhelming amounts. And it would be best if those overwhelming amounts, and those overwhelming amounts could potentially be redirected into the groundwater, but very likely they're going to become runoff and erosion. And the more that we can do, the berming and kinds of things that lead to retention and
Yeah.
capture, the better off we're going to be. And it's not a hopeless task, because in fact, we're seeing you can overcome evapotranspiration and get some response, positive response.
If we got a 4-inch saturation of the ground,
And we don't allow
anything
it
beyond
to-
that is beneficial.
Well, as
Because-
long as it doesn't become erosion and
Yeah,
runoff.
no, yes, yeah.
Okay, so if Walter Richards were here,
Mhm.
he would echo that point,
Mhm.
made that point the last time he was here. So question I have for Joe and the town is, are there any particular projects, berming projects, retention basins, whatever else, that could be undertaken to maximize that aquifer capture of those events? Because those events do happen.
Yeah, well, and we're constantly adding more road drainage to keep those opportunities for sizable collection, before perhaps it enters into a local waterway. In fact, we actually have a number of regulations that force us to do things like that for pollution prevention reasons, minimizing runoff to surface waters. But generally, it's impossible to capture all of this. I mean, there's topography issues. It's, I would say the drainage efforts generally follow those more challenging areas. We have neighborhoods with steeper changes in grade, and that tends to be where we have road drainage problems because the water moves quickly or falls quickly. So, there's like a natural positive feedback there where we're making those changes in areas that are already probably were the areas where we struggled with, natural.
Where there might be water sitting.
Yeah,
Or
the steeper the grade, the quicker the water runs off, and that tends to be where we have to put more road drainage in because it's where roads would puddle.
Do we have a list of those berming or basin projects?
We have a list that I work with the highway department on, but not for the same purpose that you're describing. They're specifically pollution prevention, so we're trying to capture runoff in areas that we know are prone to discharge to surface waters. This discharge to surface waters creates, localized surface water impairments or shellfish or low O2, things like that. So yes, but not for the precise reason that you're getting at.
Should we have a list of projects for the purpose of capturing that runoff into the aquifer? So that
That's not a bad thing, but
So that, over a 3 or 4 year period, when the money's available or the opportunity arises, we can actually direct some resources and work that list.
yeah, that's never a bad thing to have, particularly if that's something the committee wants to work on, identifying some locations that either they think or, a neighbor has said, hey, I think there's some more runoff here than perhaps the town had realized. That's always helpful. For the purposes of increasing recharge to the aquifer, there's a scale conversation that
Yes.
we couldn't install enough drainage to capture 10 billion gallons of, that's just, but we can find the areas that we know are perhaps struggling with other issues like the roadways not draining or there's a creek nearby. And I think we do a pretty good job at steadily making improvements, but if the committee wanted to take that on, that's a helpful endeavor. And perhaps we would learn about an area that we didn't know about before.
And to build on that, I guess, is if we asked people on the island to say, listen, we want to be in a position of able to say that steps can be taken to improve the amount of retention. Please send us a photo of what you've got, if you've got something. I mean, there's a house, the one next to you, I think, or maybe it's the one block street. It's a very, very flat lot, and it's got about 6 or 8 inches of soil, kind of, in wintertime, it looked like he'd be ready for a junior hockey league. And if we had that, if we were able to communicate, here's the types of things you can do. And if 15 people answer or 15 people could do it and 5 do, that's to the benefit.
And over a 5 year period, no, you're not going to capture billions of gallons. Okay. But over a 5 year period, if you kind of work your way down this list, you're going to end up having an impact. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago? When's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next best time?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that the more obvious benefit is really in the runoff reduction from a pollution standpoint, not really from a recharge standpoint, just because of the limited quantities that you can capture and with regard to like the total number of recharge that we rely on. But those are all good things. I mean,
Okay, fine.
So, and you're primarily talking about dry wells,
yeah. It's almost exclusively.
exclusively dry wells.
There are other areas, the real near coastal areas where groundwater is so close to the surface, that's where that's where we have to have more creative solutions, with swales, berms, things to slow the water down, try to get it in the ground. But those are also perhaps the least effective areas to capture water, because if you put it in the ground 10 feet before the beach, you prevented the runoff, which is great, but you didn't really provide much benefit in the recharge because it's so far down gradient. It's not adding to that head that we're talking about, 5 feet above sea level, like at Goat Hill. And then it's so close to the saltwater interface that, in a few days' time, it has traveled and permeated out of the aquifer. So the places for, if you were purely looking at this from a recharge, you're trying to do that at the center of the island. But that's generally where your recharge is good anyway, because even if, like at Goat Hill, for instance, very steep grade, water runs off very quickly.
Notably, it's a golf course.
It's a golf course.
So therefore, you have the opportunity to be like kind of working the topology of the land,
Right.
in a different way that you.
Right. So that's a strategic location to get water in the ground.
That's my
Right.
point. It's
And there's a vulnerability.
And you're near
because
two water systems.
You're near two water systems, and there's also the vulnerability of surface waters like Chase Creek, and
Right.
if you are observing water run off Goat Hill and into Chase Creek, that's a missed opportunity. Getting it in the
Right.
ground there is a
Right.
is a good
And
spot.
that's what's happened.
Sometimes, yeah,
Right.
sometimes.
Your pollution reduction is going into my drinking water, though.
Well, there's that sometimes too, but generally no. Generally, these dry wells are pretty shallow, and they, well, some people are worried about that.
Is that right?
Yeah, runoff from roads can be problematic. So
Okay. All right. At this point, the discussion, we visit our current declaration, and we also visit our current restrictions. So is anyone of a mind to change either at this point?
Seems like where it's treading water.
To speak.
Okay.
I don't. What do you think?
So we're at severe.
yeah,
And we have a sprinkling for irrigation prohibited from, I believe it was 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. And we have a limitation on pool top-offs of, I think it's, I can't remember, it's a certain number of inches over 5 days. That's where we are. Is anybody of a mind to do more, less, change any of that?
No,
Somebody's almost there.
right, but Sean's letter that you had printed out obviously for a reason, calls out the communication piece of it.
Correct, that was next.
Right.
Right,
I got nothing.
okay. So let's, rather than just kind of gloss over this, can someone make a motion then to keep the current declaration and restrictions in place?
Sure, motion to keep the current restrictions and declaration in place.
Second from Greg?
Second that.
All those in favor? Aye, okay. Now, let's talk about the publication of that. What notices have gone on the town websites about the current declaration level and restrictions?
I was looking earlier and I realized that Christina, who usually does it, is away. So it's still the old banner. So we'll have that update.
Okay. This to me is a significant issue because the work that we do around the declarations and collecting the data and actually bringing data to a fairly thorny and murky subject, okay, is only so good as the those decisions getting out to the public. I think the reporter has done a great job of communicating this, and I want to thank the reporter, and I want to thank Julie Lane in particular for regularly attending these meetings, and the reporting is quite fact-based. But I'd like the town using its communication efforts to reinforce those messages, and I haven't been seeing that.
We did discuss it at a work session, passed a resolution, changed the memo. So that was all done in a public session. Julie Lane covered it. I don't know that we've received an updated document to post with the recommendations, but I'll look back and see and we'll update it.
Okay.
But I mean, essentially, the new recommendation matches the town code, which says no watering between 9 and 5. We extended it to 7. So it is covered.
Okay. So I'm going to I'll check the website. I'll check the website tonight, and then I'll check the website in a couple of days, and I hope there's going to be a change. Okay. All right. Okay, that's 3, 4, 5. Know Your Water Weekend debrief. I just want the record to show the committee's thanks to Sean and Peter for driving this. This event took a lot of work to set up. The planning has been in motion since, I think, back in February when this idea was hatched. And it involved getting the written material out. It involved all of the planning, it involved mobilizing the volunteers, finding the volunteers, mobilizing the volunteers, and making the message consistent. And I know that I was appropriately directed and given messages to convey. So I know what it's like being on the receiving end of those instructions. So thanks to Sean and Peter for driving this. Thanks to all of the businesses who allowed us to kind of set up in front and intercept their pedestrian traffic. And thanks also to the volunteers who sat out there on a very hot day in the sun and initiated all these conversations with some who were very open to being engaged and also some who were not.
Mostly with just people who want to be engaged, because we kind of deliberately structured it that, if you didn't want to engage with us, it was easy to just walk past.
Yes.
So,
and I
Chicago cellophane man.
I spent some time out in front of the coffee shop, and there were many who were much more interested in the coffee than they were hearing from me. But that's goes with the territory. But so thanks to all the volunteers and the businesses who let us do that.
Somebody had the idea of repeating it at the hardware store. Was it you or Sean or something?
you're sorry, repeating.
Doing the same thing, but at the hardware store, where you're going to get a local almost.
Yes.
The IGA, too many people were just there to buy things for their picnics and cookouts. And they're
Although
probably
I
not
don't know, we
residents.
had, so I would just,
But the hardware store, I think, would be a.
yeah, or the post office, we were like right near in that area in general.
Okay, that's different.
But I just wanted to say that there was a very, very positive vibe, I would say, in
Yes.
general. And part of that positive vibe, first of all, part of that positive vibe, and I want to just convey appreciation. Joe is not generally called upon to be here on the weekend, but both of our liaison here, Amber, every one on the Water Advisory Committee was out there. And then in addition, we have the teachers. Dan came and was at the IGA.
with his colleague.
And yes, and it was very, and everybody kind of experienced that there was a learning curve going on both sides of the equation. A number of themes came out in the feedback that we received, and one of them was that people just had a lot of confusion about the idea that testing is an ongoing process, that they have to keep engaging in testing. That testing, the fact that you were tested 5 years ago or 10 years ago is really not sufficient. I think that was an eye opener for people. I'd be very interested to see. I found myself handing out 20 applications for testing. I'll be very curious to see what that translates to in reality, but we'll probably find out that information because I think we're going to FOIA whatever tests there are.
Mhm.
So we'll kind of be able to say, well, was there as a result of this an uptick? I also think that you're right to thank the reporter in general and the reporter on this particular issue. I also thought that Sean's comments that were quoted in the report were really excellent in terms of, what we're looking to see is for some light bulbs to come on. The other thing that happened here was that the other thing that is so positive about this is that it crosses all the different regional concerns. It's as much about saltwater intrusion as it is about nitrogen contamination in the center, it's something that's applicable to everybody. And everybody seemed to, from my point of view, whether, obviously there were many people who are seasonal or renters, and I think that that's going to feed back into further business that we have having to do with rentals and how that works. But the residents, and my first question to everybody was, are you a resident? Are you a Shelter Island resident? And the residents just seemed to be extremely appreciative that we were out there doing it.
Yes, I agree. And the separate from the substance of the message, the fact that there was a cadre of people out engaging with the public in such a significant way, just simply conveying a message, the importance of the topic, there's a lot of value in that. A lot of value in that. So think about this for next year.
Well, I think that I don't think that it is, I think this is going to come up when we get to agenda item 10. What are the key messages that we're thinking about? Well, this is the way to get people to get to the next step a little deeper, that there is an issue and that there are things that ought to be emphasized. And, I think it's already sort of top of people's mind that Shelter Island has water issues, but this personalizes it.
Yep. Great.
I actually had some non-residents comment on the fact that they appreciated the fact that we were being so transparent about the fact that people should be checking their water quality, because they felt like in other areas, there really isn't an emphasis on that because we don't want you to know what you're drinking.
Right.
And so they appreciated the fact that we're being transparent and being like, test your water, know what you're drinking, don't accidentally be doing something that could hurt you. When other places are like, we don't want to deal with it, don't test it, So I think that there was a general appreciation of the fact that we're encouraging people to look out for their own health and to check their water and to be on top of things. So
And
I did get that comment from some people.
the best way to protect real estate values is to actually solve some problems.
Okay. Anything more on that? Continuing. Center Triangle private well testing update. As of the 7th of August, we were at 49 tests, 45 done, 4 pending. So it's probably going to be another 4 to 6 weeks before we start seeing results. I haven't seen any results yet, have you?
No.
And then we should figure out how to FOIA or FOIL test results in those zones that maybe weren't part of this program, but have been done anyway, for other reasons.
Is that something that we can do for particular zones?
Well, some zones have streets that run through. Yeah, so
It'd be interesting I don't know if they can do it isolate. They know it by address. They're not making it public by address. I don't know if they do it by being within the zone or not.
that's right. The long story short is that the health department knows that's our goal. So once we finalize the testing program and our numbers are, locked in, then we'll shift the conversation to how to collect that
To
data.
isolate data.
Yeah, within the bounds of, their privacy.
If that's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But, the 50's great. And I think your efforts have really paid off with going and making a lot of house calls,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's what they were.
That's
door knocking. I think that the participation is generally a little lower than I had expected based off of the response we got from the first
Right.
center testing effort. But the numbers are substantial now. So I think we're safely out of that area where we were worried we didn't have, enough data points. Now we definitely do. But the participation is lower. I would say that's a conclusion that, I wasn't expecting.
We were asking people to do more. It wasn't simply check a box and send the card back. You had to find your property numbers, your tax numbers. You had to send in the applications.
You had to send in the application. That is
Send
different.
in $100.
And you had to send in.
You had to
$100
prepay.
and get
Yeah.
paid back, right?
Yeah, but the product was a lot better also.
Right.
Much better. I mean,
So
yeah. So, but that's only if someone really valued that. So, nonetheless, we're in really good shape with that effort, and I'm very thankful. The health department has done a really nice job at updating us with the progress, the numbers, and I'm sure they'll continue to be a really good partner as we get some of the test results in. We start managing the data.
So over the next couple of weeks, they'll pull samples on that remaining 4.
Mm-hmm.
So they will have done the quote field work. We should probably call their team. You and I should probably call their team
Mhm.
and figure out a way to formulate a FOIL request in a way that they can deal with it for other tests that they have done in those zones. So maybe that means that we put the zones on a map with the streets. And we basically say, we would like your most recent test result, okay, done anywhere within those zones. Give them a map and then let them pull up, see if there's a way where they can pull out of their database those streets and actually plot where these various test results are and get that data. We can't do that because we don't have their test data. So we should have a discussion with them about how to formulate that request.
Yeah.
Because if we have 49 tests now and we could get another 30, that's a lot more data points.
Yeah.
As long as it's consistent testing. We have to make sure that we don't get multiple tests from the same place because that would skew it.
Yeah.
Which is why I was using the phrase most recent test.
Yeah. And we can keep them layered also, so we can do an analysis of just our data. Our data,
Yep.
meaning the ones that we are sampled as part of this program. And then we can layer in tests, within the last 2 years or 3 years and see if there's any statistically significant changes if we wanted to call some of those out. But we have already spoken with the folks at the health department about how the data is going to be conveyed and what, the format that it's going to look like. So I don't anticipate any problem with that, but we're approaching the point where we need to have that discussion in more detail because it's imminent.
Okay,
Maybe it might provide a skeleton to take these, the results that we don't have the specific house number, but any of the restaurants and things like that, who their information is posted. So we will have their direct location,
Address, right?
so that that may help you to take a look at the fuzzy numbers that.
There's just not that many non-communities in the zones that we're testing.
Yeah.
are those full potability tests, the same analytes that
Not necessarily.
we're pulling?
No, on an annual basis, they're likely not tested for all of the same things that we are doing in this program. The non-communities have specific testing protocols unique to their testing history. So if they had a high risk for, X, Y, and Z, their protocol would, on an annual basis, would be emphasizing the X, Y, and Z,
Yes.
and perhaps not checking for A, B, and C on an annual basis.
Okay.
Like this test, for instance, is a several hundred constituents.
It is, right.
What we test for at our non-community ranges from like 50 to maybe 70 things on a normal annual cycle.
Although, we're probably not going to be that interested in, how much nicotine or, is being picked up or, caffeine. I mean, it has some interest, but.
You're right. Many of the
Many
several hundred are of limited interest.
And
yeah.
there are certain ones that we kind of know already are the key to focus on.
That's right.
And one is nitrogen, obviously, and the other are the range of PFAS compounds. And when you have a conversation with the health department, I would just like to be sure that they had a, not very complex, but they had a formula across the various PFAS compounds
Yes.
that added up to a
Yes.
level of concern that they.
That's right.
Right?
And there were
It would be very
different,
good to have that be sure we have that formula. And if we have all the inputs into that formula in the results,
Yes.
so that could be what we're analyzing, the aggregate.
that metric.
And that point you just made, though, Peter, is why getting the most people enrolled now is relevant, because even just a few years ago, if you did one of these tests,
You weren't getting the PFAS.
no, and those rules were not even in place for some of those compounds, or the testing wasn't even in place. So the more, if we're emphasizing an analysis on the perfluorinates, the PFAS families, the window with which we can look back is quite short. It's quite short. Yeah.
So it's really good to have more data coming in now. Additionally, what Dave circulated, and so several people actually forwarded it to me, which is the rebate availability for putting in filtration systems for PFAS.
That's now available
And
to
you
us.
circulated it as well.
Dave brought this up before it was even available to us.
Mhm.
I was just letting you guys know that now it is. Yeah,
I just got my letter,
you did.
my offer, yeah,
Because you have,
because I have a problem,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
and you put in a filtration system?
I have RO, but you
are.
can put in whole house.
Yeah, they're saying
Yes.
they'll rebate you on a carbon filtration system.
I'm seriously considering that.
Right.
Because apparently, and I don't know, that, if they're offering whole house, it's because PFAS should
Right.
not be going through your other stuff.
Right.
Your wash and your shower, and I don't know. There must be some science behind it rather than just limiting it to RO.
Right.
Point of use.
Yeah.
Right, well, and
Right.
many people are not necessarily avoiding every faucet in their house and just focusing on the one.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
I've only done my kitchen.
Right, similar.
So the bathrooms, although you don't drink that much water, but still, your bathrooms are a source of PFAS.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Anyway, but it's a benefit.
I'm
The
considering
end
it.
result is by publicizing this information, you're also publicizing the potential benefit to the homeowner in dealing with it.
Correct. Okay, so between now and the September meeting, our September meeting, let's have a conference call with Jason
Well,
and his team.
let's also first decide how we're going to wrap this up in terms of the public's opportunity to participate. We should synthesize our messaging and say, okay, our efforts to enroll more people is, It appears that they're really tapered off. Are we going to make another round? We still have some funds available. Do we, when are we going to close this? Because that will impact our schedule for doing analysis, right?
All right. So I would recommend we actually, we did zones, what is it? 9, 11, and 4. As I
Something like
recall.
that.
There were
Yeah.
3
There's
zones.
3. Yeah,
All the mailings were in those zones only.
exactly.
We have spent about $5,500. Okay, $500 of kind of mailing costs and whatever else,
Yeah,
and then 50 tests or 49 tests at $100 a test.
right.
So under the budget authorization, we have about 20 left, 19 or 20 left, because it was a $25,000 authorization. I think there's value in actually completing the 3 zones. In other words, going all the way through to getting the data, doing the FOIL requests, analyzing the data, and seeing what we find out, what we learn in terms of meaningful conclusions before we open up the program to the other zones. That would be my recommendation. And I remember talking with some people on the town board who encouraged us to start with a couple of the zones first and kind of prove out the whole process before we did it broadly. And I saw some wisdom in that. So that would be my preference, to kind of see it all the way through, see these 3 zones all the way through and see where we get to. Thoughts?
Well, are you suggesting seeking more data points in these 3 zones?
No, I'd say close it
Close
off.
it off
We
now.
got 50. Then we need to go through the exercise with the FOIL.
After the next meeting, we move into aggregating the data and beginning to analyze it.
Correct. So let's say we have 40, we'll have 49 tests. Then we go through the exercise of trying to find out other properties that the wells that the county has tested within those 3 zones. Let's say we get another, I'm going to make up a number, 20, all right? We then integrate in that data to the extent that it's recent enough, comparable enough, and so forth with the 50 we got. And we see what that data tells us. And once we get to that point, we can decide, I would recommend we do, but we can decide what we want to do with the other zones. But we don't start a testing effort in the other zones until we complete the whole process with the 3 zones we've started.
Okay.
Is that thoughts, Joe?
I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer, frankly. I think it depends largely on if we want to offer this to other members of the community sooner rather than later, or if the committee has an interest in saying we want to enroll another zone right now. It's the summertime, and maybe we can get more. I think you can't go wrong here. It's really, I think, the will of the committee, since it does take an effort to drum up interest. I don't think just another mailing campaign will stimulate the kind of response that we want to get out of that zone to call it conclusive anyway. So I'd look at it through the lens of, if we're going to add another zone, it's going to require some more legwork than just sending out a letter. And if the committee says, hey, I'm tired, I don't want to do that anymore.
But both in terms of committee effort and the receptivity, I think that subtext to what you're saying is there's a certain amount of diminishing returns unless we go through the cycle that you're describing and we have like something that people can start to look at, a work product from it.
From the zones we've done.
Right.
Look at what this told us.
Right.
That will just be a long time away. I mean, practically speaking, that's, be months before we have a conclusion or some results to be discussing publicly, just because of how many weeks it takes for the test.
Right. It will
come back.
take, look, if anything, what we've learned is that groundwater is slow moving. So again, rather than now triggering more numbness on the part of both the committee and the public, I would suggest that even though there's some money left in the kitty potentially, I would suggest closure, moving toward, as you suggested, the analytic phase of this, moving toward communication phase of this, and then in the following summer seasonal cycle, coming back to it.
That's what I'd be my
Next summer.
recommendation.
Okay,
And I
we
don't
should
know if
just
it's gonna
check.
be till, I don't know if it's gonna be next summer.
Or the following.
Well, it could be, but it could be sooner than that. Like if during the fall,
Mhm.
we start to get the test results and the data is really speaking to us,
Mhm.
both in terms of consistency and substance.
Mhm.
Okay, so we actually believe we're dealing with valid conclusions that are important.
Mhm.
We may turn right around and launch another round of testing.
In the winter.
Who knows?
Well,
And
it doesn't need to be defined, but
No.
I do think that Joe's comment that we need to just determine closure, where the closure is.
Yeah, now it just feels like it's lingering a little bit and we're unsure of what the messaging is, the strategy. If somebody calls up today, I don't turn them away. I say, absolutely, go forward with it. But I think less people are calling because they think it's over.
Let's connect it to the Green Expo, which is August 22. So one of the messages at the Green Expo, we should be there with the forms,
But with the forums, with the signs that were used for Know Your Water Weekend,
all that.
right.
And so that if anybody in zones 9, 11, or 4,
And the list of addresses,
in the list of addresses,
can check.
walks up to a table at the Green Expo,
They can join in at that's their last moment.
that's it. And we close it off on October,
Okay.
on August
It's,
23.
well, it's also, it's a nice way to do it in
I think as chair, I'll let myself make a motion, that we hold the testing program open for zones 9, 11, and 4 until August 23.
well,
Or,
yeah, I mean, they have to take, they need a little time to actually submit the form and all
Okay.
of that. So maybe they can sign up, become part of the rebate list.
I'll say September 1,
Yeah.
okay, till September 1,
Okay.
which will give us the opportunity to promote it at the
Talk to
Green
people on
Expo.
the 22nd, give them 8 days or 9 days
Right.
to
And that we
get it in.
and that we complete the analysis of that data, the data we have collected, plus the additional data we get through a FOIL process,
Before offer.
and consider that before we extend the program to the other zones. That's a motion.
I
Got a second?
second motion.
Okay, motion carried. All right.
Just, when you say other zones, are there specific ones that you have?
Yes, there were, if I recall, help me Meg, there were 11 zones.
Yeah.
And one zone we neutered out.
Right, so it was a different offer.
Right. So
It's targeted.
we did these 3 zones to start, and then we can do the rest of it in some order. So we'll end up testing more than 50. If we do if we open it up to the other zones, we could get another 100. We should be able to get another 50. This is, I recall,
I think you have a lot of options on how to approach this afterward.
Right.
I mean, one option is that you just open it up to all the other zones if we are looking at the participation rates and say, doesn't matter what zone you're in.
Yeah.
Uh,
right.
sign up. We have,
Yep.
want to encourage people to do this. So we don't have to, we can avoid perhaps cherry picking a zone after this and, trying to target 1 or 2.
Just in general, just it'd be encouraging and saying, you have a limited amount of time to get your water test rebated.
Yeah, and it fits with the theme that we're encouraging testing. So, but you got a lot of options.
Okay.
So the town board might say, we'd like the money back. Thank you.
Well, from a budget standpoint, Amber, we had 25,000 in the last year? Can we have that into the next fiscal year? Not 20, whatever's remaining from that allocation?
Yes, yeah, because it's already been approved, so it's just sitting,
Doesn't need a motion to make it
yeah,
happen.
it's just sitting encumbered in
Fine,
WQI for that use.
okay, thanks.
There's no expiration on the resolution? No.
Cool. Do you have to make an affirmative recoup if you have to? To get the money out of the, how's it work?
No, it's already been earmarked.
Yeah, but I mean,
No, he's saying the opposite.
If you want to take it
didn't-
back, what
If
do
you,
you?
if you wanted to take it back, do you need to do something? Or does it eventually fall through?
We could probably pass a resolution taking it back.
Yeah, but there would have to be some
We figure out.
action. It's not just going to die
Yeah.
and go away. Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Okay. The other issue that came up in the whole center triangle testing was the fact that a lot of the properties that weren't getting, that there were a number of rental properties where the owners of those rental properties were not signing up for the testing. And Sean at the last meeting was to go to the town attorney to ask the town attorney whether the state law requiring that essentially rental properties be safe places to live, whether that meant that a owner of a rented property was obligated to provide potable water to the tenants. The memo that I've got back from Sean indicates that the town board is considering requiring testing of wells serving rental properties
As a condition of the,
As a condition of the rental permit.
as a condition of, so my question is if you're a landlord and you want to rent a property, do you simply have to get a test? Or do you have to provide potable water?
You would have to do the test and then you'd have to provide that information to whoever the renter is. The question about whether or not we require that you modify your water to a certain standard is something that Thomas is currently looking into for us. So.
Thomas being the town attorney.
Thomas is the attorney.
So the town attorney is looking into the legalities of all of this for us. But it's something that we want to look into to see if it's a requirement that we can put on a rental permit. We do believe that it is, but that very question about how much can we require, can you force full remediation or maybe just point of service at the sink? Like what would qualify as potable water, solving the problem?
Well, first,
So that's what is up for debate and actually what we're trying to figure out legally what our parameters are. So Thomas is looking into it.
let's just start. It may be obvious, but let's just start with what qualifies as non-potable water.
Health department standards.
Any exceedance
Right,
of that maximum contaminant levels.
yeah, it'd be based off of what the health
There
department
is.
considers.
So anything that comes back to you yellow as this is out of range.
If the health department says you have to address this,
Right.
then that's what we would consider.
Right, and what you're asking is it remediated if, given that, you provide water at a reverse osmosis out spigot at the sink, or whether it has to be whole house, or, so those
Or
are the,
if proof that you've shown those results to your tenant and they
Sufficient.
signed off a statement stating that they're aware of the water quality is sufficient. So that's what we're trying to sort out, is what we can enforce and how enforceable is it.
All right,
well, but given the possibility that it turns out that it's legal to enforce various levels of restriction, there is a question as to what we're recommending.
correct.
Right.
So what's our view of this committee? The options seem to be: one, testing is required in informing the tenant. That's it. Another step is actually the tenant is entitled to potable water at one location or throughout the premise. That's kind of what the options are. What does?
You're looking for a feeling of the
Yeah,
committee?
what does this forum, what's their view of that question, of those questions?
So I have a strong view, but does anybody else?
Say it.
Okay. I do not think, so the option A was you show that your water, you've tested, you've shown that you've proven now that the water is non-potable. You're showing the tenant your water is non-potable, and you're telling your tenant you have two choices: drink non-potable water or get bottled water. To me, that's an unacceptable option.
Okay.
On the other hand, many people, and myself included, have put in a reverse osmosis under the sink option and have a single spigot that they're confident in. They're cooking and drinking water. And I think that's a reasonable standard to insist on. It's not onerously expensive. The third option was a whole home filtration system, and my feeling is that that may be a bridge too far.
Okay.
Seems to me that the three that you spoke to just now was the response to results and where those results are
What
going to go.
happens when
So I think we also need to think the front end of this. If the town has a requirement that they prove the owner has provided water, potable water. When do they do that? Every 2 years? Do they do it every year? In which case, people have it has to be it can't be Suffolk County. You've got to go to a private location. What was your thinking on that? I mean, that's the town is going to get the results. They're going to wind up with a sheet of paper from the owner saying, here's the results that I got, and I'm good, or I'm not good, and then we roll into the three topics that you just spoke to. But there's a front end here that I don't think, maybe we haven't.
Meg, what is the frequency required that the town requires to
Rental.
for rental?
It would be an annual renewal.
And does it apply for both seasonal rentals and full-time rentals?
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to rent your house in Shelter Island, you need to get a permission from the town on an annual basis,
Yeah, you need to get a
Period.
rental. You need to get a rental license.
a rental license.
Yeah, it's a permit.
And I presume things like smoke alarms are in there, fire extinguishers.
There's a full inspection that goes with the property in order to obtain your license, because we want to make sure that it's a safe dwelling, right? So we want to make sure that smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers, proper egress, that there haven't been rooms added, that there's not 12 beds in a room. All of those things are things we look at when we go in and do the inspection. So this would just be one more added document required in order to get the rental permit that says, yes, we've inspected your house, you're allowed to rent. So it would be essentially one more bit of the safety check.
Does that full inspection is an annual event for every rent?
It happens whenever you renew your permit, yeah,
And the building department conducts the inspection?
correct. We have a building inspector who goes out and does.
And the testing for water, it's by Suffolk County, it's by private. Is it the big?
It would be the comprehensive water test, and it could either be by a private entity or by Suffolk County, depending on how you time your water test, because you can only do one a year through Suffolk County. So if you have your timing right, you can have them do it every year, as long as it's the comprehensive test. And it has to be done through a legitimate testing company, so it has chain of custody and all that, that the sample
Right.
has come from the actual source. That would be the requirements, because that's the standard for a water test.
And those results are FOIA. I mean, obviously the town is going to get the results, I take it.
And they would go in the property file. in the building department.
Okay, and would they be available to such as
Data
committee is here?
Yeah, it would be,
I mean,
it would be town information, yeah.
okay, so
That's interesting. It's a source of.
this will provide a lot of information, eh?
So, well, that begs another question. So how many rental licenses are issued each year?
I'd have to look, I don't know that number off the top of my head.
Okay.
But a lot.
A lot, I would say, yeah, I mean, the population of the island goes up by an order of magnitude every summer, so
Yeah.
90% of, I mean, so a lot of that is people with private homes that people just use in the summer, but a lot of that is rentals.
And we're looking to kind of clarify the rental law, because right now there's short-term rental and there's long-term rental. But it's a little confusing because the long-term rental doesn't have to be a year-round rental. So we're looking to make that clearer for people. So you could have a year-round rental, a long-term, which is like you're renting for a month at a time. And then the short-term is like a 2-week rental. So we're looking to clarify that in the code as well.
But each event, each renting event is not a new round of testing.
No, because you get.
The testing, the testing
permit.
stays with the facility, if you
Yeah,
will.
yeah, it goes with the building.
So that is just something, it's a minor question, but it's just worth noting that we may or may not care about this distinction. In other words, it could be all the same to us, whether it's a
Yes.
short-term or
Right.
long-term rental.
Right.
If I could summarize your position
With
before I
this-
turn it over to David.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your position basically is, you need to get it tested. You need to provide potable water at least one
One
location in the
home.
home.
Correct. That is my position.
So you're gonna test all of the spigots?
No.
No.
What we're saying is only one location, from my point of view, from where we stand now, only one location in the home has to be provably potable.
Okay. And since Suffolk County basically focuses on the kitchen, right? I mean, is that where they're, the Suffolk County Water Authority, sounds like they basically, or Suffolk County DHS, they test the kitchen typically, or directly out of the pressure tank, right?
They'll do everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't prioritize a particular location. The goal is to get either a, raw untreated sample or a treated sample.
Well, my
People
understanding is both.
tend to do those. Yeah, if you
My
have it.
understanding is that if you have filtration, they're going to do it both raw, coming in, before the well, right after the well, and before any treatment, and after all the treatment.
They don't prioritize a room necessarily, but most people for convenience
They
treat the
do
water
both,
in.
though. I mean, those two tests.
They'll do each stage of, if
If you have
raw water.
right, so if you have a
If you have a
GAC.
pH treatment, they'll take it after that.
Right.
And then if you have RO, they'll do the RO.
Right.
So they'll take each.
So you might have
Each slice.
3 different sets of
Yes.
results
Right.
when you ask for your
That-
sample. One, that $100 test.
Yeah.
And the town board will have to write this up as
And-
showing that and explaining that.
Well, and you need at least one test that shows there's somewhere to get potable water. My suggestion is that you needed to have at least one location in the house where you can get potable water.
I'm gonna chime in.
Near the kitchen sink,
It
at the kitchen
depends.
sink, presumably.
Yeah, in other
Okay,
words,
David has the floor.
if it's easy to get potable water through a whole house treatment system, then why not do it that way? Why put a burden on the tenant? If it's difficult to get potable water, then you have to do a point of use system. In other words, if like for PFAS, if a whole house treatment is available and economical, why not require that? Why limit it to point of use?
You would become stricter than me, but giving the option to fall back on my one location if it were onerous. So we'd have to define what's an onerous.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, if the problem is PFAS and you can do it with a tank in the cellar, why specify point of use? You've taken
Well,
care
he's
of the
not,
whole
he's
house.
just
I'm not
saying, he's
suggesting-
saying at least
Yeah, no.
one
Well,
spigot.
And if you
needs
can
to be
do it more
potable.
cost effectively for the whole house, please do.
Well, that's
We
the-
would likely
yeah,
do
that's
that.
why maybe we have to look at what the problem is. I don't know if we can even do that. We're getting into micromanagement.
Well, that's,
Yeah,
that's kind of the reason why I'm saying at
Yeah.
least one place.
Yeah,
It may be cost effective for you to do the whole house, but we don't always, some people put in reverse osmosis for the whole house. And
Yeah,
we
well, that's-
we discourage that because
that's
of
crazy.
water
yeah,
usage.
that's crazy. Yeah,
Right.
no, okay, that's fine. I just was thinking out loud on this.
All right, so do we want to put a motion so that the town board has our considered view on this question? Because right now they don't, they're just listening.
Well, a motion to do what I was suggesting or,
Do we want to make a motion
right?
as a committee
Do you want
as to our policy recommendation of this question? I suggest we do want to make a motion because right now it's just talk. Once we make a motion, the Water Advisory Committee is advising the town board as to the recommended
Agreed,
policy.
but shouldn't our advice also wait for it's legal?
Yeah, I
Opinion
mean,
that it's legal.
honestly, whatever recommendation you get is still gonna go through the public hearing process, it's gonna go through legal screening, it's gonna go through a whole bunch of hoops before any changes are made, because it requires changes to the town code. So that goes through a pretty extensive process, so.
So we could make a policy preference, a statement of policy preference now, recognizing that all those issues need to be considered.
Okay, so, well, I would propose that the town require that for getting a rental license, to get a rental license, you must have an annual water test showing potable water in at least one location in the home, in the house to be rented. And then we need the further language to say, pending legal review of this requirement.
If you're not on a public water system.
Yes, and if you're, assuming you're not on a public water system.
Well, would that say somebody would put a water cooler? Would that be this?
The water cooler means they have to get bottled water.
Yeah.
Oh, well, in other words,
What the response is.
yes, it's conceivable that a landlord might say, what I'm going to do is put in a water cooler and deliver water.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
And I would think that would be acceptable.
Yeah, I don't think it would be.
Yeah. So, but that is so that, and what the language I just spoke was consistent with doing that. As a
Yeah, no,
solution.
it doesn't seem like it's terrific.
It doesn't seem terrific to allow
As a-
bottled
as a-
water
as
as
a solution,
delivery
yeah.
as an alternative. Because
Just the pain.
microplastics or.
No, just the difficulty of use. Let me put that. Are you gonna?
The difficulty to the tenant or to the
Are you gonna fill up
landlord?
your spaghetti pot from the
Okay.
water cooler?
So let me just try and express this, take
That's
your
what-
motion.
Okay.
That's my.
To get an annual rental license,
Mhm.
the landlord needs to
One,
arrange for and pay for an annual water quality test by a certified lab. And
Demonstrating or
Well-
demonstrate.
if that test needs to demonstrate that the well water is potable, and if it does not, the landlord needs to, I'll say, provide for potable water at least one location in the home. Then that potable water can be provision of bottled water,
Well,
it can be a point of use treatment. That's up to the landlord.
Dave is raising the question, are we content with the provision of?
I know,
bottled water?
I put a motion on the table to say that, yes, that is a reasonable solution. That the landlord would have called Calgon, or whoever else it is, or Poland Spring, to deliver water in 5-gallon jugs and provide a dispensing unit in the house. And that's how that landlord is going to satisfy that requirement.
Dave's comment was, would you be boiling a pot of spaghetti with water from a
Yes. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to fill up your pot of spaghetti with the output from your RO system.
Or would we prefer to recommend that one faucet, one fixture within the house
That's perfect. That's a better way to say it.
provides potable water?
Okay, so
Yeah.
And I would even go so far as to say you don't have to separate the test and the fixture. You can say that what the landlord has to provide is documentation that at least one faucet or fixture within the house, potable water is being delivered.
okay,
I suppose you guys can think about this too. We have some time for the board.
It does seem to me that it's a little early to be making recommendations on our extensive study that we've done on this.
Right.
It's been almost, 25 minutes that we started talking about this, and now we're sending a position.
wait. We've talked about this for 3 meetings. And I'm kind of amazed that no one who rents property has showed up at any of these meetings. Because this has been discussed in the Reporter.
Mm-hmm.
There are, I'm guessing, hundreds of rental properties throughout the island. And if anyone has listened to these conversations, where this has been going is, there's going to be an annual testing requirement, and there's going to be a requirement that at least one fixture provides potable water to the tenants. That's pretty significant.
Right.
If you're renting a property,
They'll show up when it gets to the public hearing portion.
okay. But no one's come,
Guarantee it.
all right,
Yes.
but
They're
no
not
one,
gonna come in at this phase.
okay,
Right.
no one's come in here with any comments about this.
The private test is very expensive,
Yes.
also very expensive.
Yes, but they can get it from the county for $100.
They can if they have the flexibility to wait 3-4 months for the test, the test results, but certainly someone who needs it as part of their renewal.
They've got time to do this for the next season.
I'm just saying that's a comment that we should expect to receive. The testing requirement is subsidized so that it's affordable at $100, but I think it's over $1,000 for.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
1,300. I double checked and it's actually a 2-year permit, so it's every 2 years.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. It's every 2 years,
Okay.
so that's even better because they have more time to get it. They can do it through the county if they choose.
Right, and it can phase in. I mean, this is we're ahead of ourselves, but the recommendation is that we move toward a testing plan that requires at least one fixture in the house to show potable water is available in that house.
Yes, look, I support this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you just have conversations in general around town, people are like outraged that that's not already a requirement.
I was outraged when I walked around and knocked on the doors of rented houses.
Mhm.
And people were collecting rent, landlords were collecting rent from their tenants, and their tenants had no idea what they were drinking.
Mhm.
And the landlords also weren't taking advantage of a free water test, because that's why I was knocking on their door. So, I'm going to keep talking about this.
Mhm. Well, the question is, are we going to try to drive this to a recommendation at this meeting right now? Despite the fact that it's only been 25 minutes, you were saying 25 minutes and it's a short amount of time to do it, but I feel it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Considering the 1.25 million hours are going to be spent when
Thereafter.
when the owners, the landlords show up in front of these folks. I mean,
Well, don't think that the landlords are going to be that the town board's going to be there alone when the landlords show up, because the town board is going to ask us to take some of that spray, which is fine.
Right. But
Happy to.
But also, I have a little bit of a hard time imagining the argument of a landlord that I should be allowed to provide only non-potable water to my tenant.
the times I've heard, I've lived here for 62 years, and damn it, I drink the water and I'm fine. I'm not sick. I'm 82, and I mean, I've heard that a lot.
Most of the water on Shelter Island is going to be potable. Most of the houses are going to show potable water naturally. It might not be great water, but it will be potable.
Correct.
in most
Right,
homes.
and the standard is potable.
And the standard is only potable, right?
Standard
That's
is not
great water.
pristine.
Pristine, right.
Right. Okay.
So, all right.
In many ways, it's a concept change to, if this was a business serving water, the expectation would be that they
Absolutely have to.
had to anyway. So,
And it is a business providing. Somebody's renting.
perhaps.
So effectively, it is a business providing water.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not a public.
So you have a motion on the table.
Yes.
Is there a second to the motion? Right, it's a second. Does anyone have any further discussion on the motion?
Well, does Jessica, do you have language? Has that resulted in language?
I think I pretty much got what you said.
All
Okay,
right,
you
but
want to?
we have an opportunity to review the minutes.
Yes, I just would like to know what we're voting on, right? So, Jessica, could you just read back the question?
Annual water testing showing at least one point in the home, pending legal review, and not on public water. Essentially, that's.
If you're on a public water,
Reworded properly, but that's.
Okay,
if
so
you're
those
on
are
a
the
public
points.
water system, that's how you satisfy it.
Right, it's
Right.
being tested at an earlier
To
stage
receive a rental permit.
Right.
to receive a rental permit. Okay, so
That's the motion.
that's the motion. It's been seconded.
That's the second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Joe raised the issue. If you had a business, what would you be required as far as remediation or providing water? Is a business required to have potable water everywhere?
But we're not, in the way we're expressing this, we're not requiring anybody to do remediation. All we're requiring is that
Well,
they have a test that shows that they have
Well,
one.
that's
source of-
my point is that the rentals are a business,
Right.
right? So what is a business required to provide? And wouldn't that be the model for a rental?
Certainly, there, the restaurants and non-community, like there's, the county has testing being done now, and exactly what that testing fully, what happens with the numbers, we know that the numbers are posted on a website.
Well,
No, I'm just-
we may have the answer in the room. We may have the knowledge of the answer in the room. So let me just ask the question a little more directly. In a public restaurant, do you have to have potable water in the bathroom?
Yes.
All the faucets have to have potable water.
Yes, point of use is not accepted for non-community system.
And so this is a lower standard than than that. And
It is,
the
but
way I expressed it was explicitly, there was option A, which was the most lenient, option B, which was the single faucet, and option C, which was in every faucet in the home, the whole home. And I proposed B. You may want to hold, we might want to go to C at a later time. Or you might be suggesting we go to C right now, but I'm not sure that I would necessarily vote for that because I think we're just inviting trouble.
If it's good enough
And
for a
also,
business,
and also,
why isn't it good enough for a house? So,
sometimes, to be fair, depending on the issue, it doesn't really make sense to have the whole, it's to the detriment of the business sometimes that they have to treat the whole system. Also, some businesses, particularly small ones, don't have a lot of fixtures anyway. It may only be having water come from a couple of places, or like a restaurant's generally only in a kitchen, whereas a house, has plumbed differently. There's many points of use. I would say generally from the town's perspective, it's a burden to be in the non-community category and have to have the whole system treated, as opposed to just solving it. It doesn't really make sense necessarily. Nobody really drinks the water here at Town Hall, but we would have a pretty big burden and expense to treat all of the water going through. So I don't know, take that for what it's worth. It's not a smoking gun answer either way.
and Dave, my response is just not wanting to have, as a former town board member used to always say, the perfect be the enemy of.
yeah, no.
All right,
I
so
was thinking that would.
Under
if
Robert's-
that would be an umbrella.
under Robert's
If you wanted
Rules
to
of
find-
Order,
We have a motion.
David is suggesting an alternate
No,
motion.
forget, no. I'm
Do
not.
do you want to make an
No.
alternate motion?
No.
No. Okay,
So then we
so
have
the motion that we
option
have on
B
the
that
table.
Jessica just read back to us.
Right. And we have a motion and we have a second.
There's only one other step. Go ahead.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
No opposed?
Opposed?
No, I opposed, yes.
You opposed?
That's a really, yes.
Yeah,
opposed.
okay, so it's 3-1, motion carries.
And the reason being is that I just believe that we haven't, we should take the draft, which was what you just voted on. We should all look at it. We should expand as necessary. We should clarify our language, make sure that we have identification of the problem and response to that identification and to the legal issues. Take a look at how the Suffolk County DHS is, what are they dealing with when they do tests for potable water? How are they doing that? That'd be nice to know, I think.
Well, we do know that they do it after filtration and before filtration.
I'm talking about storage. So that's my thinking. I think it's a good idea to do this, but not right now.
Greg's dissent is very considered. What we did was basically state a policy preference. And we understand that this requires legal review.
Which we stated in the press.
Which we stated.
Right.
I'm comfortable with where we are, and I also respect your dissent.
Right.
Okay?
I
All
do
right.
too.
Uh,
I think, no, it's,
all right, so that's item 7.
process matters.
Okay? And believe me, this is going to come,
It's gonna come back.
it's going to come back to us.
Once we have language drafted and stuff, you guys will see it.
Okay.
So 7 is, we should probably in the future then, if we should take this aspect of potable water for, that
Yeah.
should be a separate line
I
item.
agree with
if
you.
will.
Okay? Make the rental property requirements a separate. I agree with that. Okay, all right. So let's now go to any updates from the USGS on the 10-year baseline study scope and cost.
I think that you saw, I forwarded my correspondence to the committee saying that they expect to respond in August. So I'm hopeful by the next September meeting, we'll have a response about those questions we posed on scope and cost.
Okay,
And on the saltwater intrusion update, I'm actually scheduled to meet with the lead hydrologist tomorrow on the island. And he's going to bring the data to date that they have from the test wells that they've installed. And he's also going to tour with me some locations for our supplementary saltwater intrusion analysis, the electromagnetic, yes. And we'll discuss at that point the opportunities to develop a scope for that study in conjunction with the data from the new deep wells. They also shared, the same gentleman shared with me the test data that they have from the shallow well that was installed. As you recall, we had to install at Satcham's Woods a shallow well to facilitate the installation of the deep well. And they took samples from that shallow well, which would be the fresh water, and he shared those samples with me, sample results with me. And they look, at least initially, pretty good. They're not comprehensive, though, for potability. They're just...
So preliminary
yeah,
is promising.
exactly. Yep. So it didn't look for things like emerging contaminants, was more geologic based, minerals, dissolved solids, things like that. But all were very well within range. And so I would say that's promising and something we should continue to pursue. One of the questions that I'll have for him tomorrow is how do we physically sample this well? There's no pump in it or anything. So he told me that it's possible, but he's going to show me how, and then we'll be able to take a more comprehensive suite of samples from that location.
Okay, so these will be on the agenda.
All for September. I'll have a lot for September.
Okay,
So you'll have some numbers on those, the Sachem sites, or no?
I have, he sent me the test results now for the shallow well, like I said. So I'm in possession of those, but they're not enough to draw a conclusion about potability, for instance.
Okay, that's it. So it'd be interesting to see that, perhaps. I don't know if we'd like to see,
Yeah.
they think it's premature.
No, I don't think it's premature. I just, I don't think it eliminates the need for further testing.
Well, certainly.
Yeah.
okay.
And I'll share with you all of the data that I get from him tomorrow.
That's 9/10 Green Expo, August 22. How do we want to handle this? Who wants to handle this? Who wants to own this?
Well,
I actually am not, I'm going to be off island. on
You're
the
off
22nd.
island. So so some of this, I will be here, I will be there. My problem with with leading at the Green Expo, other than that I did all those years as chair, is that I have wind up with two hats. I'm also at the Green Expo as the Fresh
Right.
Pond Neighbors Association. For Fresh Pond Neighbors Association, we tend to liaise with Atlantic Creek Keepers Conservancy, and have two tables next to each other. And historically, what we've done is also a table for the WAC and a table for the WQI, all in one area. So there's a whole water awareness kind of area of Green Expo. I have talked with James about the WHC will be at the Green Expo, the WQI will be at the Green Expo, and that we should communicate with Tim that we again want to repeat being together. Again, subject to all of you thinking that's a good idea. I also suggest that the key messages should be continuing onward with Know Your Water Weekend philosophy testing, because that's what leads people to all the thinking that then follows. They know that they have saltwater intrusion, they know they have nitrogen, and they begin to become more engaged in these issues. We have the materials for that. If Andrew, you're not going to be here, I hope that the rest of us would all be there. Are you guys, Greg, I know Greg and Dave, you've both been there at the most recent ones.
Briefly, I can't.
You only there briefly. Okay, so we have Greg. We should check in with Sean, who can't be with us today. But I think that he's, he really took the lead on the Know Your Water Weekend, and I think he would be a good lead. I think that we should fill in collectively.
So what do we need from people? We need people to just kind of man or staff our table.
Be present and be willing to engage and be with
Right.
people. And I think that we should have, again, the full packets of what we've had in Know Your Water Weekend and in the center testing program, which is basically a one-pager saying everybody needs to know their water. The one for Know Your Water is best because it covers the spectrum between saltwater intrusion and contamination issues. So that one and the test forms.
Sean might have leftover packets that.
I have some too, but yeah. But we might, Jessica, we might need another set of packets, right? Which seems simple, right? But there may be other key messages that we want to discuss. I'm not sure,
So what about the drought restrictions that we've got,
right? For example.
for example? We should be ready to explain those.
Mhm.
you can say that these are integrated things because the reason for the drought restrictions is our concern that water levels are so low that some people might have problems with their wells, leading to saltwater intrusion.
We're also gonna talk about the center triangle water testing.
Yes.
People in those areas specifically.
It's all the same, I mean, actually, I can distribute what you've all seen already, so I probably don't have to distribute it, but we had basically just some advice for people who volunteered to talk to the community at Know Your Water Weekend. And I think the advice remains very much the same, which is tailor your message to your audience that they're ready to hear. What they need to hear about it's relevant to their community, to their situation.
So I'm getting 3 messages. Test your water. Just Know Your Water Weekend and so forth. We have all the collateral for that. The usage restrictions, the drought and usage restrictions, the center triangle testing program.
Right, which is your last opportunity at the.
Right.
Right.
Those are the 3 messages. So we
probably need a sign up. In other words, we need to know who said that they were going to test their water and wanted to be within the program, within the Know Your Center Triangle program.
Sorry.
We will need to know who, we'll probably need to have zones 9, 11, and 4 available for people to look at and show them that they have that opportunity, and then ask them to sign a sheet, so take a test and an application.
Give them an application.
Give them an application and take maybe they don't need their name, but they need to be aware that they can get the $100 rebate.
Well, it's basically, if you live in these 3 zones and if you haven't signed up to get your water tested through this program, you can do it now.
Right,
So
but how does the town know that this test came in through the program?
Did you guys, when you did the original mailings, you had a list, right?
Yes.
You just take the mailing list, that should have the name, the address, you'll be able to scroll down the list and tell people.
And if they know, do they do something to ask for the rebate?
I believe they bring in a copy of their executed.
Their
water
test, and just tell you, I'm in this program, in these zones.
Yeah.
And we're saying that the date of September 1st is, bring it in by September 1st, the application for getting tested.
They have to submit the application to get tested.
They have to submit the application to get tested. How do we know that they submitted the application to get tested within the framework
The county tells us
that they got a test?
that we tested 123 Thomas Street.
Right. So
And they're in your zone, under this program, they're in your zone. We tested that and we're going to send them a check for $100.
okay, that comes back to us somehow, that 123, whatever
The
Thomas.
county needs to tell us what properties they've tested under this program.
And they
and then-
already have they have the list.
They have the list because
Okay, great. So they will tell us because it'll look to them just like somebody within our program. It'll match an address that they have.
yes. And that's where we got the list
49.
of properties that, remember that list that list was all the properties that
Mhm.
received the 191 letters, and the ones that were coded in yellow
Mhm.
were already enrolled in the program, and
Mhm.
all of the other ones were not.
Mhm.
So they have all that.
Okay. And they know to match it until September 1st. We have to tell them that we're rolling only till September 1st,
Right, you're
or postmark September 1st.
Correct.
Yeah.
right. All right, but back to Green Expo. We need somebody to to staff the tables And we need to arm that person with collateral for the 3 message areas. Test your water, drought restrictions, and the center triangle testing program. How long is Green Expo on this?
From 11 to 3.
11 to 3. On 8/22.
So Greg, you're saying you'll join me?
I'll do, yeah, it's not a strong, I'm not a really good, a strong asker of assistance from people. That would be my problem.
You're a warm body.
Not only are you a warm body, but to some degree. it's up
Don't
to them to engage
downplay
with you.
your opportunity to contribute here.
I
So-
can do 11.
11,
12.
11 to 12? Got it. Okay.
And we'll cluster the tables together that are similar. So we'll have WAC, Fresh Pond, WQI, and Manatee Creek Keepers all either like 2 and 2 across from each other so that people can be like, oh, you know what, talk to Peter, go over there, he can answer that question, or vice versa, because that's what's worked in the past. So when we organize it, because I'm with the Green Options Committee who does this, we'll try to cluster like things together so that it's easy for people to refer to each other.
Okay, so what we need is a table, right?
We have the
We'll be
tables.
You have the
provided,
tables?
we put out table, a tent.
Does someone do a tent?
Yeah, this is part of the,
That's what they do.
yeah.
Yeah, we have tables, we have tents, and we'll kind of assign people to areas. We'll assign your tables, et cetera.
Okay. I've got Dave from 11 to 12.
I'm not limiting myself. I'll be there from 11 to 3 with the restriction that if I faint or, you know.
No longer a warm body.
Depends on, yeah. It depends on, you know, what it looks like out there. Maybe it sometimes has been, you know, it's August, so it's sometimes brutal.
Right. Okay. And Greg, you can be there for some of this?
Yes, I typically have been there usually the entire.
Most of the time, you know, we've tended to, for years, we've gotten to know each other there.
Okay. You have the collateral for the test your water?
Well, Sean has it, but I'm quite confident that he'll be, I don't know whether he'll, you know, I can't volunteer him for being at the table. I'm hopeful that he will also join us for the duration.
All right, does this presentation for the drought update on July 21st satisfy the collateral around the drought restrictions? Actually, well, pride of authorship, but I'll say it explains the situation pretty well.
This is, yeah, well, it's a combination of Dave's and Greg's work.
Right.
Yeah. I like it as a packet like this.
Okay, so why don't we make 50 of those?
I'm not sure if we need 50, but a stack of them would be fine.
Okay. I'm trying to use what we're. And then the center triangle testing, I'll do something up over the next couple of days. PowerPoint
Mhm.
presentation.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
But also the drought update. I mean, we can, this is dated July 21st, but we could probably update it
Right,
slightly,
we
right?
update it. Yep.
So
Even
that
if
we're
you
coming.
just have taped to your table, the water testing charts, you have those taped to the table so people can reference them, and then just a one pager on what the restrictions are, like the 1-page recommendation handout on why we have the water restrictions, where saltwater intrusion could be a problem, like that 1 pager would probably be enough with the information on the table.
Where is that?
It's, you know, the 1-page document that you have on the website that outlines why we have a drought restriction and what the possible.
At our website?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even know.
But then I guess Jessica, that, you know, we have a few packets,
You guys just send me
right?
what you want, how many you want, and I'll have them ready.
Right.
And we can update that document. I think the date on it is June, but the information on it is good, so you could update it with the most recent and that'd be great.
Okay, so Jessica, if I send you the soft copies of these documents, can you print them up and have them available for Peter, Sean, Greg, David to have at the table?
Yeah.
Okay,
All I know, there's soft. What did you?
soft copies,
Soft copies.
electronic copies.
As opposed to hard copy.
As opposed to hard, well, she's going to make them into hard copies.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Two more things. Just a point of information. Sean will be reviewing the pool code. Remember, we had a discussion around top offs and so forth at our last meeting. Sean will be reviewing the pool code and reporting back to the committee. Last topic is an administrative matter. We have a meeting scheduled for December 21, and there's been a request to move that to December 14. December 21. Sorry.
You wanna have it right before the Christmas break?
Unless it's our Christmas party.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Good to see you. Again, restate this. The request is to move the December meeting from the 21st to the 14th. Town,
You're still at the MAC that night. 14th. CPF.
CPF,
And
WMAC also.
That's a lot. That's a long meeting.
all right, so I'll generalize the request.
Can we just?
Jessica, could you find a date in December that is earlier than the 21st?
Okay.
And circulate that to us and to see if we're all free.
So the 21st is out or not?
Maybe.
Well,
We're not
let's
gonna
see
leave
if
it
we
there.
can,
Maybe.
Okay.
let's see if we can find an earlier alternate.
Not completely dead.
I'm looking at what the November meeting is to see if it's too close, but November's the 16th, so that still gives 3 weeks in between. I'll circulate an
Okay.
email and we'll make sure that it works for everybody.
Fine.
It has to be the 14th, it has to be the 14th, so.
Okay, any other business?
So I just would report back that between last meeting and this meeting, that Fresh Pond had its annual harvest cleanup. It was very successful. It made an enormous difference. It was also a record harvest in the sense that we removed 11,500 pounds of vegetative material, that to mulching and recycling. And that's not decaying into the pond. The unfortunate part of that is that this year we've seen an increase in harmful algal mats, a form of harmful algae that is. We tested the mats. They proved to be microsyra. We had thought it could be either Ringbia or microsyra. Either one of those could be toxic or non-toxic. We had the mats themselves tested in 2 different locations on opposite sides of the pond. They are in fact toxin producers. We were concerned about in the process of harvesting, would there be a release of toxicity? As a result, we created the Fresh Pond Neighbors Association created an entirely new testing, additional testing program, with the results being analyzed by the Jan Laboratory in Syracuse University under Dr. Gregory Boyer.
They did show that the mats were toxic. The characterization tests that we're doing now are samples were done before, immediately after, a week after, and a little further after the harvesting, just to characterize any release of or stirring up of toxicity that might have occurred during that period of time to see if there was any sort of spike. The takeaway from that would be, and out of an abundance of caution, we encourage people to be very mindful of pets and children not going in the water. The issue with toxicity is it's something that would only harm you if you were eating it, but we'd be concerned about a dog licking their fur or a child swallowing large amounts of water. So the road was Fresh Pond Road was kept blocked for a week afterward. And we'll have results back within a week or so on that sequence of tests.
Okay. All right. Any other business?
Yeah, I got my. I have a discussion. Whoops! Did I do that? I had a discussion with Dan Williams. I lost my slide. Excuse me. Reset. Yeah, I had a discussion with Dan Williams about these old USGS wells that are shown on the dots that are scattered around Shelter Island, about using them to repeat the water sampling program and expand the water sampling program. He was excited. Let's put it that way. He liked that idea. One, it doesn't depend on homeowners doing things, which he didn't have any control over where the water came from or anything like that. So if that's a possibility, which sorry Joe left, because I think his rep might have, his USGS person might have been able to give an opinion on the feasibility of this. But if that's a possibility, then
Sampling for saltwater intrusion and those.
saltwater, other components,
Mhm.
nitrates, I was talking with Meg, iron, manganese, just pH in general. Okay. So that would be one thing. This is a catalog, the catalog of all the wells, some of which have information on them, some of which don't.
So
They don't.
do those, can you go back to the map? Do those wells,
Do they
what's their
exist?
physical condition? I mean,
There's one in my neighborhood. It's a blue pipe that's sticking up out of the ground. They probably date to about when the USGS did the whole characterization of the island in terms of the water table and things like that.
Are they on private land?
No, well, the one I know is on the shoulder of the road, so
Yeah,
it's
most of them
public.
are on the easements, like the town shoulders.
Yeah, yeah.
And some clearly would have been damaged.
I guess mostly it's town right of way, I guess, right? Because
So we don't know yet. I'm just, this is the brainstorming session. I don't know the status of them or anything. But
Joe is actually gonna ask this question when he meets with USGS tomorrow.
Okay,
as to
good.
Whether or not we could test their wells
Yeah.
or if they have to.
Good, I'm glad to know that. Hopefully that's on his radar. That's true. But there's a whole catalog. Some of the information on the well is online. Some of it isn't. Not to say that if it isn't online, it doesn't, it's non-existent. Probably just hasn't been published into the USGS water data.
So these things are capped?
Yeah,
You pull a cap off, you send a cup down?
no, that's my next.
But
There are
Joe's gonna,
water sampling pumps that
Right.
will bring the water up using an inert bladder pumping. They're called peristaltic pumps. But you drop the pump down, and it's got a tube attached to it. It runs off a 12-volt battery, and it pumps the water sample out of the
the
well. Yeah, because most of the time you're not going to be able to suction it out. It's too
Right.
deep. But there are two types. This is the smaller one. It only goes down to 70 feet. But then another one goes down further. According to the data which I had before, we're probably going to have to do. But this is a couple $100. We'd have to supply. We would supply it to the school to do. But it's looking pretty feasible to give this to students to do using the same testing kits, analysis kits that we did before. You know, adding the pH, adding the chloride to, well, the chloride we did, but adding nitrates and
Yeah,
adding
and
the
that's
other
a
things.
simple, that's another simple test that you could do one.
Yeah, so and Dan was excited because it's field work.
Right?
It gets them out, they can see what's going on.
Yep.
Big question, if Joe can answer that, is, what does it take and can it be done? And all the wells might not be good, but,
Right,
And
but you have a
28.
big network to choose from.
we got 68 altogether, of which 13 are actively sampled. Well,
Part of,
measured, and they're not sampled, they're measured. So we got, 13 good spots at
Right.
least. And anyway, so that's where I'm going, if it's feasible, and that's Joe's gonna have the critical question, if it's feasible to
And
access
and
these.
Joe has that on his schedule.
Yes, I've already
Okay.
confirmed that.
Because you weren't aware of that, were you?
No, I wasn't.
Because there's the matter of, okay, it's not our well, it's a USGS well, or it's Suffolk County well, or whatever it may be, and do we have to get an authorization to be dumping these units into them?
I'd say we have adverse possession of these things right now.
They're on our land.
Nobody has touched them in 20 years. I think that
Yeah.
pretty much indicates that. Let's just
Could be.
ask
It
them.
might be one of those things too, where we could coordinate with USGS when they come to take the well readings, right? If they come once a month to do the elevations, then we could coordinate with them and they could maybe go with the students to each well and they could pull a sample while USGS is there, teaching them how they work and everything. So we might be able to coordinate
Oh,
some
that
kind of
would
field trip
be
out there,
even better.
you
Yeah.
know, 'cause
And,
that would be beneficial.
and, Suffolk County also will test inert wells
Mhm.
as part of your CO
But we might be
process.
able to get some.
So
kind of-
Suffolk County we might be able to get Suffolk County to come out and demonstrate how they do field samplings on non-homeowner wells. Yeah, we can make this a very robust educational process.
let's make this happen.
Yeah,
This is very cool.
I know.
Well, let's see what the feedback from
Yeah,
USGS.
that's the
Well,
thing.
But
But
let's not take no for an
But,
answer.
I see in the winter, I'm up in Bronxville, and I see the biology classes go down to the Bronx River with their sample kit. No, it's a hoot.
Right.
So anyway, that's where we go.
Okay, all right. To be discussed at a future meeting, and let's not take no as an answer on this. Because there's
Are you
too
going to
much,
be at the meetings?
there's too much potential.
I don't know what time he has his meeting, it might be a work session. So we'll see, it'll depend, if it's in the afternoon, I can go to the meeting, if it's not.
Well, you have the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order from the, anybody on Zoom? Public want to say anything? Contribute? Hearing nothing, but thank you for attending. Anything else for the good of the order? Motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
second, done. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a